Hello everyone, thank you for joining me in this video to describe an exciting topic actually, and that would be how to deploy a database to Kubernetes as a container running in a pod and connect to it with our application. If you followed my series, that application itself is employee. So far, if you looked at my previous episode, you'll notice that I have this setup running basically that uh, I have this employee running, and this employee application would indeed call the database that is running in Docker desktop. And that Docker desktop is this is a database that's running. And over here, actually, you see three containers in Docker desktop. One of them is Jenkins, which I use for CI/CD pipeline. One of them is employee container. As you can see, this has stopped. It's not working because I deployed it to Rancher, Kubernetes in Rancher now. And then I tested it to connect to the Postgres that's running in Docker desktop. Basically, it's running remotely. And now I want to take one step further and deploy this Postgres database to um, the um, Rancher. So it will be displayed right next to another deployment next to employee called Postgres. That's what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so how we do that? Well, we create a project, right? So if you come over here, you will see that next to the employee project, I created a Postgres project and I added these YAMLs. So what are these YAMLs used for? These YAMLs basically just like employee in the deployment for we had a deployment.yaml and service.yaml. Over here, we also have a deployment YAML.service.yaml. Deployment specifies what's the service and what's the pod name and all. This, and the service is actually tells us about how we can connect to this container that's running in the pod. But over here, I have a secret too. It's because it is a database and is password protected. So a secret kind or config, as you can see over here, specifies what's the database password for Postgres. And if I come over here to the service, uh, you will see that, actually, let me go to the deployment. You will see that I'm using that name over here, Postgres secret, and the password is here, Postgres password. And this is indeed coming from here, Postgres secret and Postgres password right there. So what else I have here? I have this running in one pod, and okay, I'm calling it Postgres. This is the name of the deployment. And this container is running on port 5432. But if you come and look at my service, it says this is not a node port, it's a cluster IP. Why would I say this? Because we don't want to. We want only our employee application that's running in the Rancher be able to connect to this container that is also running in the Rancher. We don't want to expose this database to the outside. So we are using the cluster IP. Wonderful. And name of this service is Postgres. So right off the bat, I come over here, and over here I change this localhost to Postgres. That's the name of my service. And this Postgres is running on port 5432. I keep double S'ing this. Probably it's because of progress, gress, and keep just adding an extra S to it and then removing it. Anyhow, so this is the database connection that says now connect to it via this service name on this port. So how does this work now? Well, I have to, there are two ways of doing this. I can actually deploy this locally, um, call with using apply commands, or I can create a pipeline for it. So to create a pipeline for it, we need to put it in the source control system. And what is our repo? It is, our source control system is GitHub. So let me go over here and see if I have actually, let me use the VS Code. And if I come over here, I'll see that that project doesn't exist here. Why is that? So if I go to that project, you will see that there is no Git. This is not defined as a Git repository. How to make it defined as a Git repository? I come over here to the integrated terminal and I say Git init. And now it's recognized as a Git repository. So if I come over here, now you see it over here. And which we don't care about the employee right now, even though we made a change over here and we're going to build it. We made a change in the application.properties. See, we changed that IP address to Postgres, but or localhost to Postgres actually. And then um, we're going to take care of that in time. So right now we want to deploy this application. And how do we do that? To do that, we just come over here and say, very well, initial commit of Postgres app. How about that? So let's go ahead and commit and push everything. It says that there are no stage changes to commit. Would you like to stage all the changes? You say, okay, yes, always. All right. So it says, okay, over here it says your repository has no remotes configured to push to. Okay, add remote. And over here, add remote from GitHub. So, okay, what would we do over here? Probably we say HTTPS. Let me see if I can actually go ahead and copy my GitHub. Um, GitHub. Yep. And my username is Jabet86. So let's try that. Okay. I'm gonna add the GitHub over here. Publish the branch. It says the extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub. Allow. Okay, Jabet86. I'm gonna choose that. And now it's publishing. So let's go to GitHub and see if it was actually published. Hopefully. I don't see it here yet. Let's go back there. Publish. Publish to public repository. Okay. It's now publishing. Using this in the command line is a little easier because it seemed like we went into circle. But it says over here we got a successful message finally. And if I kind of like, yes, if I refresh the repository, I'll see it right here. So, okay, what is missing over here? If I want to create a plan in the Jenkins for this, what do I need? I need a Jenkins file. And over here, I'm going to use AI, actually AI GitHub Copilot, to show you how easy it is to do that with Copilot. I'll come over here and I go to this, and basically what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to say create a Jenkins file for Postgres project to um, deploy to Rancher via Jenkins. Let's see how it works. Let's see how fast this works, and also if it understands what I asked. So over here you see actually the thought process that this uh, um, GitHub Copilot is undertaking to generate this file, and then it generated it and says if you want to keep it, well, or you want to undo it. So it says this pipeline uses Rancher Kubernetes, validates the manifest locally, then deploys via Postgres deployment and the service. Okay, and waits for rollout completion. If you want, I can also add an image, build, push a stage, or rename the credential key to match your Jenkins setup. Okay, let's go see what it has. First of all, we're gonna keep this. Okay, over here, basically, this is the validate stage. Okay, and this is the deploy to Rancher Kubernetes. So what is missing over here? If you come over here to the employee and you notice our Jenkins file over there, we had more stages. First of all, we need to build a jar, then uh, when we build it, then we build an image, then we push it to Docker Hub, and basically all that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to just say right click on this, okay, and say add file to chat. So you see it appears here. I'm saying, okay, use the um, attached Jenkins file for employee project to create a complete life cycle for the Jenkins file in Postgres. Now let's see what happens. It's going through analysis over here. So it's not a bad idea to look at this and see how it's doing. For example, checking the existing Jenkins file so I can align the lifecycle with the employee pipeline pattern. And then finally it updated it. So I'm going to now go back to Postgres Jenkins file and make sure that it's doing the right thing. So let's keep this to begin with. And then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna say, okay, look, now after validation is rendering secret. Okay, so over here, if you see, this is the command that is running in shell, and it's generating a shell, and basically it's running this kubectl create secret, and it's adding the secret information. Then it's coming and deploying to Rancher Kubernetes with these commands. Okay, and wonderful. So will this be enough for us? Yes. But the thing is that it should retrieve this, it should actually create an image and push this to repository. So I'm going to ask this, okay, add the stage to create and push the image for Postgres project in Jenkins file. Actually, when I said push the image, I didn't specify GitHub. Let me see if it understands. Let's see if it understands what intuitively what it means you are asking from him. So now if I go over here and actually, yeah, looks like I've added a few stages. Let's go ahead. Oops, what did I do? Looks like I undid that by mistake. Did I? Mm, yeah, okay, I got it. So over here, it comes over here, specifies updated this as the environment variables to it, okay, and creates an image to push to the Docker Hub. It creates an image name, okay, and over here, it's building the image and then pushing it to Docker Hub, okay, and with these credentials. So it's asking me what is the Docker username. So probably we need to specify that. And password variable. Okay, let's see. And the stage is validate. We could really, we don't really need this stage, but this is validating deployment file and the service file. Then over here, we add the secret, create the secret, and basically deploy that um, jar file, now retrieving it, that image that is retrieved from Docker Hub to the rancher. Well, let's see what it asks us to do now. So it says that it used the hard-coded image name, and if it wants, it could use the new image tag. Well, that's a good idea, but I wanted to actually go over here and says adding Docker image build and Docker hub push. Okay, so um, wonderful. Yeah, so great. So Docker hub image. Okay, so let's see. In the build stage, let's compare this build stage with the build stage for the other project and see if we are doing, yeah, looks good. It's building it that way and then build the Docker image, okay, and push to Docker hub and come over here, build the Docker. So let's build the Docker image, wonderful, and push to Docker hub. Great. With these credentials. Um, and wonderful. Okay, let me see. Pushing to Docker Hub over here, it's echoing and then Docker push image and Docker, yeah, it's creating both image tag and latest. Let's take the advice for this and says add build and push stages with Docker Hub credentials and using new Docker file. Okay. Oh, okay. So what it's saying is that uh, if you come over here, you basically don't see a Docker file. And the Docker file is to actually build the image and deploy that to the Docker Hub. So let's go and ask, add the uh, Docker file to Postgres project. So that was important to add. And actually, I should have added that before the Jenkins file. So it's basically it's using Postgres, okay, and then Postgres image and all of that. So that's interesting actually, and I believe that for that Postgres container, I believe I have a dedicated did I create a dedicated container? I'm not sure about that. But over here, basically, it's just exposing port 5432, and that's important. Without this, if you remember, we can't connect to the container. So, and it's saying, okay, this database, the database name is employee which is correct. It is adding it as an environment variable to the rancher and also my username, which is Javed. Wonderful. And the password comes from where? Password comes from the secret over here with that. Now, this password can be actually encrypted, but we don't want to right now go into that. We just want to keep things a little simpler for us. So now with this, what happens now is that um, that this Docker file should actually deploy the image to to the Docker Hub. And if I come over here and look at the Docker file over here, you'll see that this is uh, basically there is no deployment because you don't want to run this basically, and all you need is the exposure and this basically where it's coming from. So mm, so with that, I believe we are all set. We can go ahead and start uh, trying to create a plan to run this, if you agree. So, all right. So we go ahead and create the plan now. So we want a new item. How about we call this Postgres and pipeline? It's a pipeline, right? Okay, we discussed that before. And over here we come and say we can give it a description, the pipeline to build an image for Postgres database and deploy it to Kubernetes. Kubernetes is sometimes called K8s. There are 8 letters between K in Kubernetes and S that comes at the end of it. Okay. So as you know, we come over be down here under the definition, use pipeline a script from SCM. Okay. And over here, we go and choose Git. And the URL comes from here. Actually, this is the actually, I'm sorry, this is the Git URL for it. We kind of like this is this green button called code. We click on it, then we copy this HTTP address, Git address, and we add it over here. And we have this. We have already created these credentials on the Jenkins. If you remember, we added this, and basically it's coming from the master. How do we know? If you come over here, that's the master, is the name of the branch. Okay, and this is the only branch we have actually, because this is our first deployment. And the script comes from the Jenkins file. So what does that mean? That means we need to push the Jenkins file to the okay to the GitHub. We haven't yet, right? So we go over here. We have created this Docker file and Jenkins file. Let's push them. Created config files for Jenkins pipeline. All right, commit and push. Wonderful. Now we can come over here and see this pipeline was created. Now we are going to build it now. This is our first build. We need to keep our fingers crossed. Prayers may help too. See, it was pushed to GitHub. I'm sorry, Docker Hub. I keep mixing up Docker Hub and GitHub. I apologize for that. Somehow it failed, and the way to find out is that uh, could not find credential entry with ID Kubernetes rancher kubeconfig. And let's see if I have this rancher kubeconfig in my uh, Jenkins file. Yes, I do. So it says, okay, use real credentials for this. So what would be the rancher? Do we have a rancher credential, kubeconfig credentials? That would be interesting. So for kubeconfig, um, I don't think I have set any username or password, but we can go and check it out. This is the rancher, okay? And okay, this is how we connected to it, right? There is no username and password over here. So let's see if I go back over here. Do I really need these credentials? Deploy image. Okay. And deployment name. Okay, deployment is Postgres. Yeah. Postgres passport, I know. You know, we have that. But kubeconfig credentials, I'm not sure what does that mean. So let's ask GitHub Copilot. What is this config for? As it's missing for employee project. What this means, it's a Jenkins credential ID. It should point to a Jenkins secret file. Okay. The pipeline uses it. Okay. Why it's missing in employee portal? Your employee Jenkins file does not wrap kubectl calls with credential. It just runs. Okay. That means the Jenkins agent is expected to already have a working. Okay. In short, all right. Let's say I'm going to say update the Jenkins file for um, let's say Postgres project to avoid using kubeconfig credentials. And give that to that. Let's see if it applies. So far you see we are using the GitHub Copilot. It helps us a lot in achieving our objectives. It saves us from guessing. You see, it removed it, okay, and come down here. It is changing with credentials. It is just using apply. Otherwise, it's simplifying things. So we keep this change and let's go ahead and deploy it on the server. So updated Jenkins file to avoid creds. We always comment or commits to make it clear what was changed, basically. Even though it might be very obvious now, a few months down the road, these commit commands help a lot. Let's go ahead and try to run this again. We can just come here and say replay and run. Not a bad idea to monitor how things go in the log file. So it failed. Oh, didn't I just check this in? I don't think I have this anymore. I do? No, it is not there. So what is it doing? Um, Maybe it ran before it was actually pushed. So we're going to make sure that it is actually pushed. How do we do that? We say git push origin to master. Everything is up to date. Okay, let's go and give it another shot. Build now. Okay, looks like we got a different error now. It says error validating Postgres YAML, failed to download. Okay, connection refused. All right. So for that, in my kube config, I'm going to change this 127.0.0.1 to actually to refer to the Docker daemon running on my desktop. This helps in deploying to the Kubernetes. So, and I believe I discussed kubeconfig in the last session we had together. So I'm going to go ahead now and build it again. That was a familiar error. You can always, go back a little bit and pause wherever you want on your YouTube and read the errors and all. If I come over here, I'm going to try to find out what the error is now. Postgres password. Could not find credential entry with ID Postgres password. Okay, where do I have Postgres password? Actually, this is something I don't want to spend time with, and I just want to refer that to GitHub Copilot. All right, it's decided to remove that as well. Looks like we had more. It's just using apply now. That's the way it should be. Okay. We're going to have to push this as well. Updated Jenkins file. We could explain what was updated, but right now, in the interest of time, I'm just going to push it. And this time, we're going to wait for it to take effect, otherwise be pushed before we start the project. So we don't rush into it. Now we build it. It's going faster. Now it's deploying and it was successful. Wow. Congratulations to us. Let's go ahead here and see the Postgres is active now. It's just running. Fantastic. And if you go over here, that's the pod. Instead of executing, now we can just view logs and everything looks good. The system is ready to accept connection. Wow, what a beautiful thing. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and uh, redeploy our database or application to connect to the Postgres, right? But with this update, instead of localhost, now we use the service name, okay, of the service name of the um, container that's running. So with that change, I'm going to basically, let me change this one. Okay, so now let's say updated the DB connection for running in Rancher, right? Commit and push and push. Now we have to rebuild this and to connect to the database that's instead of the connection to the database that's running in the Docker desktop. Now it's going to connect to the Postgres that's running in Rancher. And to make sure it does that, let me come over here and stop the Postgres demo database. As you can see over here, now we're going to go over there to Jenkins, run our pipeline. You see, that's the beauty of pipeline. It automates things and you can, do things with automation and quickly. Not a bad idea to go ahead and see what's happening here. Is now executing the Docker file, pulling the changes and rebuilding. And now it's pushing an image to the Docker Hub. Now it's deploying the service, employee service, to Kubernetes in Rancher. And hopefully, let's see, it's waiting. Let's see what's going on over there. If you go to deployments, you go to post employee. Okay, one is running, the other one is in crash. Okay, one is running. Let's check this out. I started the application. This is beautiful. So let's go and check the other one. Hopefully this one starts too. Or maybe we just have, let me see how many pods we have, or we are supposed to have over here. If I come over here and go to deployment and then deployment, I have 2 pods. Replica is 2. So let's wait for the other one also. Yes, the other one is running too. Yeah, it became active. So what happens is that it basically removes the pod that was running and redeploy the new pod, and you know that it has a new name. Each time it redeploys, it has a new name that's given to it. And we look at the logs, everything looks good. All right. So now we want to see what's basically right now. I don't think there is anything in this database, right? So what we're going to do over here, uh, I'm going to show you how to invoke this application now. If you look at the deploy service for the employee, now it's using the node port 380. That's how we connect to this application. And so if we come over here We say localhost 380. Yeah, employee grid. Let's see if we get anything out of this. Yeah, we could connect to this without any problem, but this is not calling the database. So let's go to the actually to our let's add some actually over here, see if we have anything in this database. I wish I had developed yeah, maybe I have already. Let's see if we have any employees. See, it's empty right now. So we have to add employees, right? So we come over here to create. We change the port to 380. Let's add this Adam Smith to the database. It came back. This is a 201. It was created successfully, and the ID is 1. In that case, let's go back over here and see if we can retrieve this. We can retrieve it. Wonderful. Let's add another one and call this Tom and Brendan for lack of for and then this is, let's make this 6 and age is 39. We create that. This is ID2. It's Brandon. Wonderful. See, you can change the order of how these things appear in the JSON. It doesn't have to be this order. It has to do with the way that we define the properties in the class. So um, once we come over here and if we go there and we say true, yeah, it came back. And let's get all the employees. Yeah, we have 2 employees in there. So this is as good as it gets. Congratulations. Now over here, we are running our database. Um, inside, let me show you. Uh, uh, next, we have 2 pods now, two uh, deployments now. Employee, which is running in 2 pods, and Postgres, which is running on 1 pod. See, and basically, um, so and the employee application is calling the Postgres that is running in Rancher itself. So we can always check the logs, make sure everything goes smoothly. If it comes over here to employee and we go to the logs, we can visually see how things happen. Or this log, okay, this log actually had, oh, this is about the icon that comes with the default icon that comes with the Spring Boot. We don't care about this, but if you come over here, you'll see that everything is executed successfully. So wonderful. Um, we stop going any deeper at this point. We have accomplished a lot. If you remember, we started with a very simple REST application, and then we started extending it, and then we containerized it, ran it on the desktop. Then we gave it Docker desktop. Then we gave it a backend database that itself is running in a container. Now we have created pipelines for them, and basically uh, we pull them out of the uh, GitHub, create images, push to Docker Hub, and then pull those, use those images to actually uh, deploy to Rancher. This we have all done on our laptop. So it's a blessing that um, we can use these things on our laptop, and you see how things becomes easier when you run things as containers, the way that we were able to create database and run it so easily with a Postgres image. Same thing with the Jenkins image. to create and run pipelines. And these days, programming is really exciting and rewarding, and we can extend this now. So we can extend this by putting now a front end to it, deploy the front end uh, to uh, a rancher the same way we deployed employee, backend service, and the database, and run everything um, under the same in this basically in the same namespace. And we haven't talked about namespaces and all. This is not about you know this is not about basically it's not a DevOps um, tutorial. It's meant basically to show you the development of applications in enterprise companies in the most realistic way that it's happening right now. And we will accomplish that in about 10 sessions. So thank you for sticking with me. And next step could be also, as I told you, creating a front end or moving this to the cloud. And we can also do that because we can create, trial accounts in Amazon Web Services or Azure, and actually um, our pipelines will be pushing to these cloud services. And that's also very exciting. That's as good as it can get, and it's as much as it can get. So now companies have this type of settings that we currently set up in our laptop, and the next step for them is to push everything to cloud and basically get rid of in-house service servers and databases and infrastructure. So that's exciting. We can continue with that in the sessions that come up. I'm excited to um, continue on this path. We have come along, and thank you for sticking with me. And let's continue our journey.